How's it going, folks? I'm Matt, and this is Photosynthetic. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Industry. Today, we're joined by DJ from Growtek, owner, operator, and, purveyor of
sole proprietor.
Fine fertigation equipment. So we're going to get into it. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions about his products and whatnot. Before we get into that, of course, if you do like what I'm doing here, there's a link below to the Patreon. You can always give me a little support. Otherwise, guys, let's talk about fertigation and automated watering systems with DJ. And DJ, welcome to the show, man. Really happy to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
And, before we get into the products and how cool they are and whatnot, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got to this point in your life, and, what led you to starting Growtek?
Yeah, sure. My name is DJ, and I've been an industrial electrician for about 20 years. I started when I was about 20 years old. I did a union apprenticeship. We had really good training. We learned a lot about electronics, surprisingly, through the apprenticeship. It's not, electronics isn't something you use on a day-to-day basis. As an electrician, you're more dealing with, line voltage, higher voltage stuff. You're not really dealing with transistors and resistors and that sort of thing. But I had a really good, foundation built there 20 years ago with that apprenticeship. And my brother introduced me to Arduinos it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And read a book. Can't remember the name of it. Probably, one of the most popular Arduino books, and was just hooked. I saw the power of what you could do, and the flexibility, and just the sensors that were available, and just fell in love. And probably I've built, I don't know, 3 or 4 devices that I use at least on a daily basis, if not a weekly basis. I'm really into coffee. I have an automated coffee roaster. I have an automated pour over coffee machine that I made. So I've been kind of building things for a while. I got into growing, right around COVID. I'd actually grown back in college, in my late teens, early 20s, a couple times, but it was very, very poor results. So I got back into it, and I realized I made some pretty big mistakes when I first got into growing. Right at the beginning of COVID, everyone was talking about cocoa, growing in cocoa at the time, and everyone, a lot of people still like growing in cocoa, of course. I know you're a soil fan, right?
Yeah, I've dabbled with cocoa. I've done even organics in cocoa and whatnot, and it's a wonderful medium. Many great things. But now I'm full on living soil. So
yeah, and I've seen the living soil. I've seen some awesome results, and I actually haven't had a chance to grow that way, or to even sample any bud that's been grown that way. But everyone talks about just the top-notch quality of it. But I think with cocoa, you can come close to that. If not, I don't know. That's my understanding is, with cocoa, you can, if done well, you can have some extremely high quality bud. So anyways, back to how I got into it. I was reading about cocoa, and, didn't realize how different it was than soil. And I kind of stumbled across a website called Cocoa for Cannabis. I don't know if you're familiar with that website.
I may have been on there before. Yes, indeed.
Once I found that website, realized, how little I actually knew and how many things I had done wrong. And so I started kind of automating my grow in little pieces. So the first piece of it was just getting some pumps to run at a set interval and deliver a set amount of solution. And that took a lot of the stress off my hands. I didn't have to water 2 or 3 times a day. That was kind of handled for me. Yeah. But I was still, one of the things about growing in cocoa is you need to maintain a runoff after every fertigation. And so I'm pretty picky with how I do things. And I was after my pumps would automatically deliver the solution, I would still go and wait for the runoff to finish. I would grab that drip tray. I would empty the drip tray onto a scale, and I would see how much runoff I was getting. And then if I needed to, I could adjust the settings on my pumps to give more or less depending on that runoff. And after a while, that started getting a little bit laborious. So the idea of working with a load cell, a digital scale, popped into my head. So I integrated that with the system, and the controller would automatically increase or decrease the amount of solution it delivers to the plant, depending on the feedback it gets from that digital scale. So that was, that's kind of how I got into it.
Interesting. So that's sort of how the system's comprised. Is you've got the pump system, and then you've got a measurement system that works in tandem to deliver exactly what your plants need.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, that is too cool, man. That's too cool. And we all know, I think, well, at least most of us anyway, that maintaining a good level of moisture is really what makes your plants thrive. And that sort of brings me to my next question here is fertigation versus irrigation. Break down the differences for me.
Yeah, well, I would like to first of all say that I am by no means an expert grower. I really love building electrical devices and inventing things, but I'm a relatively new grower. But what I do know, the basics of that question, irrigation is strictly with water, and fertigation is just the process of adding nutrients to your water and then giving that solution of water and nutrients to your plant.
Very cool. Now, for myself, somebody who does just organic growing, doesn't add nutrients, and your system, I assume, would work just fine for normal irrigation methods.
Yeah, and that was something that I hadn't really considered until I started getting some feedback from the community, which that's one thing that I've been really it's been a really cool process to get to know different growers and receive feedback on what's actually needed and what's not, because I came up with this and it met my needs, but it doesn't meet everyone's needs. Everyone has a slightly different way of doing things and a different way of growing. So after I got some feedback from several people, I decided to make available just the water delivery portion of my system. So it doesn't include the scales to weigh the runoff and to make automatic adjustments. But what it does is you just tell it, I want to water every 4 hours, and I want to water with 500 milliliters every 4 hours. And it just does that on an interval over and over and over again. So yeah, for soil, obviously, you probably wouldn't want to be watering every 4 hours. But I do have some people using it in soil.
Oh, right on. So let's talk about your specific products then. You've got a couple different ones, and you sort of touched on it there. One's with the scale, one's without. But tell me about the products themselves and what applications you recommend them for.
Yeah, so the basic system is called the Fertigation Manager Basic, and that's kind of what I just described. It uses it has a controller here, and it has a pump module that just plugs into it. So this is pretty much the system right here, and then the pump module will send nutrient solution nutrient solution or water to your plants through these drip rings. They're, if you've seen the hydro halos, they're similar to the hydro halos. I think they do a little bit better job. They have the 3 concentric rings, and they're really kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but they're really they're really flexible, and they're 3D printed. Okay. Which that's another fun hobby of mine is 3D printing. And I actually looked into getting these manufactured using different methods, and it turns out that 3D printing is pretty much one of the only economical ways of manufacturing these.
Yeah,
because they're hollow.
I would imagine tooling costs would be very, very high for something as specific as that. I think that really speaks to 3D printing and how it's starting to change just some of the ways that we're doing things. I'm actually really interested in myself, but we're not really here to necessarily talk about that. Now, what about the advanced model? Tell us a little bit more about that, about the scale, and is there any additional equipment with it?
Yeah, so this was the basic system I just showed you. It delivers water at a set interval, at a set amount, and you can adjust that amount anytime you want from your phone. So it does make it kind of nice if you go on vacation and your plants are, if you're consistent in watching how much your plants are drinking every day, you can kind of predict how much they're going to be drinking in the future to a certain extent. So if you go on vacation, even with the basic system, you can adjust your how much is being delivered from your phone, which is I think pretty convenient. And then the advanced system kind of takes that chore away from you. It uses a digital scale that also plugs in, to this controller here. It uses 4 digital scales, one for each station.
Okay.
And it delivers the solution. Let's say it delivers 500 milliliters. Well, let's just say 1,000 milliliters. Make it easy for the math in my head. It delivers 1,000 milliliters. You tell the controller how much runoff you want. So if you want 20% runoff, the scale needs to measure 200 milliliters of runoff. If the scale senses that there wasn't 200 milliliters of runoff after the pumps delivered the solution, the controller will automatically increase how much it gives to your plants on the next cycle by 10%.
Ah, very cool, man.
So,
very cool.
yeah, and it will bring it down as well.
Yep.
It doesn't bring it down nearly as fast, but it will bring it down if it's if you're overfeeding your plants.
Fair enough. And I guess that was sort of what I was going to ask next is, I mean, as great as this system is, you're still going to have to get in the grow space, look at those plants, and make sure that, you're not burning tips or something along those lines.
Yeah. A lot of people have asked, does it monitor your nutrient solution? Does it check EC? Does it check for pH? It doesn't do any of those things. It doesn't do. I actually have mine set up for environmental controls, my own personal unit, but I'm not. I'm not selling it as an environmental control. So yeah, it just strictly sticks to the irrigation aspect of it.
Hey, makes sense. Do one thing and do it really well. Of course, with any device like this, there's cleaning, there's maintenance, you're running solution through lines, that sort of thing. How difficult is this to clean and take care of?
It really hasn't been. It hasn't taken much. I have heard from one person using the drip rings that they did have an issue with the drip rings getting clogged up, and I'm not sure what caused that. But if you're using like a fully soluble nutrients, you shouldn't have any issues with your drip rings plugging up. The holes that are in the bottom of the drip ring, they're close to 2 millimeters in diameter, and so that they're pretty good sized holes, and they're not going to get plugged up. I did make. We've made some changes with the tubing that we're using. We initially ordered a bunch of clear silicone tubing and have since realized that algae likes to form inside of the clear tubing.
Yep.
And I haven't noticed any detrimental effects to my grow because of that, but it's green algae. No one likes to look at green algae inside their tubes. So we do have some black silicone tubing, UV resistant tubing that we have on order, but with the global supply chain, it's going to be a little while. But as for maintenance and cleaning, there really isn't, as far as our system, there's really not a whole lot to do. The pumps are the only moving part. The pumps they're diaphragm pumps, so they're a positive displacement diaphragm pump, which means they're self-priming. They can handle little bits of particulate, but they don't like larger particulate, and they can become clogged. But unclogging them is really a pretty easy process. But that is one thing that like you mentioned. With any sort of automation, you always want to kind of keep your eye on things. And I mean, I'm watching my system daily just to make sure it's performing right. And if I see it just gives you an opportunity to see if anything is going awry and fix it as quick as you can. But I feel like if you do that on a regular basis, you can feel comfortable leaving for a vacation or business trip, whatever it is, and feel good about doing that and not be stressed out the whole time you're gone.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's just that's the thing about an automated system is it's there to save you time, but there's still work that needs to be involved. You're gonna have to do some maintenance. You know, pull the thing apart, clean it every once in a while. Just follow those basic good practices, and that's true for anything in the grow space. You should have that routine maintenance and best practice in mind. Of course.
Mhm.
Things do on occasion break. It's just the nature of the beast. You know, I've had a career in electronics, and I just know that as good as stuff can be, sometimes it just happens. So talk to me now about warranty and what about spare parts?
Yeah, so there is the spare parts that would be available would be the circuit board and the pumps. And if you're handy with a soldering iron, you need to have access to a soldering iron or know how to use one to change the pumps out because it's a solder connection. Um, but the yes, we do have spare parts available, and the but other than the circuit board and the pumps, there's really like I said, there's not a whole lot else that could go wrong. And we're with the fertigation manager, we're offering uh, if it's an unused condition, if a person buys it or it's in very very nice condition still, and it's just not fitting their needs or whatever, we have a year that they can return it. That also is about the warranty period. So return it within a year in good condition, and the warranty is also for a year.
Yeah, very good, very good. I like that. It's the try it while you buy it, but gives you some reassurance that if the device doesn't meet your needs, then hey, I mean, it's a lot better than a lot of the stuff that I've seen out there for sure.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about design and whatnot, and I wanted to know what sort of challenges did you face while developing the system? And, you know, I guess to that point, what sort of unexpected things did come up?
Just mainly the programming. Like I mentioned, I have some background and experience in electronics, but I don't have a formal education in programming. Luckily, the open source community is just phenomenal when it comes to programming, and I've learned a ton from so many different people. So that was the biggest challenge was getting my firmware down to where it was very reliable, and I could just trust it. And that's it's I'm comfortable with where it's at right now. But one of the nice things that I'm able to do is over the air firmware updates. Um, which is it's really nice because I've had some feedback from other customers wanting to add features, and I can go ahead and I can add those features into my firmware and then send an update to devices at any time, which is it's really kind of a fun thing to be able to do.
Oh, OTA updates are absolutely the bee's knees, man. So I just say this from my old tech support job and whatnot, and being able to do that, it is so handy. But I guess what about field testing and stuff? Do you do beta testing? Do you have a group of people that you roll stuff out first?
Yeah, I mean, really, it in a way, it really is still kind of in the testing slash prototype phase right now. It's available on my website, but I did have some, early on, I had some people testing it for me and myself testing it. But it's still a work in progress. The company has only been around for 6 months. The device has only been around for about 3 months, 2.5, 3 months now. So it's still very new, and I appreciate the people that have just jumped right in and bought one and are running it. I really appreciate the people that have done that and that are giving me feedback.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Hey, and a quick shout out to Grower Joe over there at Basement Autoflowers. He's
Oh
actually
yeah.
how I learned of this system, and then we started talking and whatnot. And he was recently on the show too, and just a stellar individual. So, hey, Joe. Now, I guess environment, sustainable practices. What are you doing when manufacturing to help keep sustainability in mind?
Well, one thing is the housings for the controllers. They're made out of a biodegradable plastic,
Oh, cool.
PLA, polylactic acid. I mean, it's a very common 3D printing filament. Um, So that's one aspect. The other kind of the fun challenge when I was going through the packaging, kind of figuring out what the packaging was going to be. Um, Figuring out how to best fit everything. I package all the components in small boxes, small corrugated cardboard boxes, and then I put all of those smaller ones into the large, final container. And just like Tetris, trying to figure out how to get everything fit in there, so I didn't have to use styrofoam, so I didn't have to use packaging peanuts and all of that stuff. And that's also kind of a self-serving thing from a business perspective. It's just less. It's good for the environment, and it's less money that you have to spend for packaging.
I just appreciate that, Noah, because there's so much unnecessary packaging nowadays, where you got stuff in plastic bags, and it's good to know that you've kept that in mind while bringing this product to market. And speaking of bringing the product to market, where do we find it?
So right now it is only available on our website. We have been talking to one online retailer about getting into the retail side, offering it through their website. It's being a new company and ordering in small volumes like we do. It's hard to get great prices, and so we don't have a huge margin on this. So going retail would pretty much just be a break even thing for us right now. Um, but it would help with exposure and getting it and getting more people using it. So that's the kind of the track we're on, is getting it into retail stores hopefully pretty soon, probably
Good to
within the
see.
6 months or so.
Oh, that'd be great for you guys. And I guess, what about upgradability? If I buy the basic system and I want to move to the advanced, do you have that path available?
Yeah, we do, and that's kind of one of the nice things about this system, is you can upgrade from the basic to the advanced, and and they're both four. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but they're both 4 station units,
Okay.
and that's some more feedback that we've got. A lot of people like to grow more than 4 plants. Me myself, that's I don't need any more than 4, and I don't have time to take care of more than 4. I see some of
Truth.
these grows people. I have some of these grows people are doing. It's like, man, that is a lot of work. You start getting 15, 25 plants. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, oh, it
Um,
can be for sure.
but we have, yeah, so you can upgrade from the basic system to the advanced system. We have an upgrade kit on our website, but we're hopefully within about a month, we're going to be launching a 20 station version of the Fertigation Manager. It won't have the ability to interface with scales. It's going to be more of the simple set interval, set amount that you're going to deliver to your plants. But it's going to be for 20 plants, which I think a lot of people have been wanting something like that I've talked to.
That sounds pretty all right to me. Well,
Yeah.
listen, DJ, it's been fantastic having you on the show today. We definitely know where to find you. I'm going to put a link down below to his website, just so you guys can go over there and check it out. Order yourself up probably the advanced system, because it sounds like that just is going to do a little bit more. But like we were just talking, you can also get yourself the regular system. And if you're participating in my One Nug Run contest, DJ has been so kind to donate one of the basic systems as a giveaway prize. So, guys, follow along with that. Link below to the Discord if you want to come and join. We've got until the end of the month still if you still want to participate. So hopefully we can see you over there. But before I let you go, DJ, I do have one question left for you, sir. And what's the next big thing for Growtek?
I think that 20 station system. I mean, that's the next thing in the works. We would like to develop an 8 station advanced system.
Okay.
I know the capabilities there, and I know we can do that. But we've also had some feedback from people that have been very interested in like a dosing system, and like a recipe. You're in this week of flower. These are your nutrients that you have available. You put your reservoir underneath this device and hit a button, and it automatically doses your reservoir with the correct amount of nutrients to hit your target EC and pH. So that's been I would really like to do something like that, but that's going to be a ways down the road. That's probably a couple years away still.
Yeah, roadmap that out a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
Well, hey DJ, again, it's been just fantastic chatting with you today, guys. Go check out his products and whatnot, and maybe pick one up for yourself. And thanks so much for stopping by.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. DJ from Growtek, Fertigation Products. I'm Matt. This is Photosynthetic. We out.
Peace.